To give some just general updates. So, um, we're still shooting to open up a testnet trading competition at the end of April. However, we think that we'll be in a place to release the documentation, which is coming to a close. Most of it's been hydrated, so we'll release that next week so people can start taking a look at both the general documentation as well as some of the technical documentation. Um, we'll also probably put out a tweet next week. So if there's any developers that want to kind of start getting a look at what some of the technical aspects are going to look at, both from an SDK or smart contract side, we can get them in the fold and get them to the front of the line for when that's ready. A lot of the smart contract work is complete at this point. We still have about 2 weeks left on the economic audit. We probably won't submit these smart contracts for an audit till the end of April when we're doing the testnet competition. The SDK is kind of slated for some review by our auditors, arbitrary execution in mid-April as well. And then we also will be releasing a beta version of the front end, even though it won't be really plugged into anything, at least so we can start getting feedback within probably, I would say, the next 7 to 10 days. And then we can work on plugging in all the smart contracts while you guys play around, give us feedback, see if there's any user flows that don't make sense, and we can kind of edit them on the fly. We want to bring you guys into the fold as much as possible, and then as well as the parliament elections, as you guys know, finalizes today, and so those 10 members of the community will also be key in representing everyone in terms of the new UI and then also some of the governance aspects like fee distributions on all the new products. Obviously, tokenomics is a constant thing that we're discussing, and then also some of the more nuanced legal components of V3, and then making sure that it makes sense to them, and then it's a pleasant user experience considering that we'll be having both the DAO or the centralized organization from a legal front they'll be involved in, but then also some of the products that we're offering in V3 have some interesting nuances that allow us to offer them to jurisdictions which we did not offer before. So, like we've stated before, we'll be in a place for both Premia, VX Premia staking, and then as well as any of the vault products. So the strategies will be going live with 4 technical vaults, but there are actually 2 different strategies for ETH and Bitcoin, both long and short, or put and call vaults. So there'll be 4 vaults, and then US users will be able to participate in those. We think we'll be putting out a document on that in the near future.
Before we get too far into protocol stuff, DK, for those that are on the AMA right now or listening in that haven't been as involved with the Discord community and kind of us building out governance, could you touch on just what the Parliament is exactly?
Yeah, so we are formalizing our path to decentralization, and that is both from a smart contract architecture, but then also a governance framework as well, right? So right now, as it stands, some of the key updates that we do within the protocol that are fundamentally changing, whether it be economics or tokenomics or the way we approve different collateral for some of the margin that we're going to be having, that is going to be up to VX Premia holders. And the way that VX Premia works is you stake your VX Premia token. It's similar to a voting escrow, and then which that the time and length in which that you vote it for is a multiplier in terms of the amount of VX Premia. So if you have 100 Premia tokens, you lock it up for the max amount, you'll have 425 voting influence. So that's how our governance kind of works right now. And so what we did is we allowed 10 members of the community to apply to run as part of the parliament, and those will essentially be the representatives that will do a lot of the heavy lifting and the regular communication with the wider dev group to kind of just openly discuss, and we'll we're going to have weekly meetings, or excuse me, at least bi-weekly meetings, but they're expected to put in at least 20 hours a month. On different things that are happening, how they feel. A lot of the community members right now that are leading in the votes are very opinionated as it pertains to different things. They're all been, pretty key in the last, at least the last year in our community, regular members of our community. So happy to have them on board. We'll be showcasing a lot of the new stuff to them, getting their feedback, and then ultimately bringing them into the fold more. And they'll act as representatives. And as we formalize more components of the, quote unquote DAO, we'll just use that as the term for now. There are going to be like certain things that can be voted on. There's going to be certain things that can't be voted on. So like parameters or new collateral, or they're going to be helping setting up that framework, right? So I believe my hypothesis is that a majority of voting components, not everyone wants to have to stay up to date on the day to day of what's happening at Premia. So that will be offboarded to these community members that are already, very active, and then some of the more high scale, or the larger initiatives will kind of wrap into maybe a monthly vote, and then kind of do it like a bill, like a traditional bill. So the smaller group, the parliament, will vote regularly on stuff, maybe on a once a week time frame. Then we'll wrap that all up into a bill that we can ratify, essentially, maybe quarterly or monthly, so that if you're not staying up to date in the day to day, you can still trust that representatives are looking out for your best interests, and that's what they're here for. Any questions thus far? Okay. Do we have any questions not pertaining to governance or parliament? Get started. I don't know.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
When the beta rolls out, what will access to the beta look like for users that want to use it?
Good question. In terms of like qualification to participate in the trading competition, or
I
just
mean,
like general
either like
access?
qualifications or like in general, like process, like, who should people talk to if they want to get into the beta?
Yeah, we'll formalize that with the parliament. I haven't put, I mean, in terms of what we're releasing in terms of documentation and just the UI to play around with, we didn't think that we were going to gate that at all. I don't think that the trading competition will probably be gated based on previous users of the platform, VX Premia token holder, stuff like that, just so we can avoid cybeling. That leads me into another point, though. The Academy is due for April 14th. We got some cool stuff in store for that. We have some co-sponsorships, so it's not only going to be the Optimism tokens that we received as grants, but we also have some co-sponsors that are going to be supporting as well. So yeah, we have some protections in place for cybeling. However, if you've used Premia before, if you're a token holder, if you participated in governance, are some of the things that we're looking at in terms of being able to go on to the beta use of the Academy. And then I think that list will probably be a similar list that we use for trading competition. However, the trading competition will be kind of nuanced, and because it is a trading competition, that you're going to have like a max portfolio amount that you can trade on anyway. So if you want to trade with 3 different wallets and 3 different strategies, I'm not too concerned if that's cybled or not. But we'll formalize that process, and then probably release that in about 2 weeks' time.
Any other questions on the upcoming trading competition or beta testing? All right, cool.
Any V3 questions? Any?
I have a V3 question.
Okay.
What's your favorite part of V3, DK?
Offering it to US users, I feel like I'm gonna pat myself on the back on that one because we brought that to the general counsel and they're like, I think this could work. So I'm happy about that. You know, ego, what's it called? A self brag or whatever. um, but other than that, the RFQ network I think is where, or the messaging network I should say, is where I think we'll really differentiate ourselves. Not so obviously the base layer is going to be unique. No one's going to have seen an options exchange layer like that is actually like a market maker. Like the core functionality of the base layer, if you're depositing liquidity into the base layer, is that it is to incentivize volume on behalf of a market maker. So it's actually going to be a true market maker, right? So like right now, I wouldn't say that V2 is a true market maker. We do the pricing algorithm does play as like a broker between two parties, but it's not really like a market maker to incentivize volume within certain ranges. But the message network allows programmatic trading, right? So retail trading or one-off trading of putting a limit order or just buying one position to offset either speculate or hedge is a low volume business. Obviously, that's where we grew up, so we think that we can we tailor to those users pretty well. However, the programmatic trading side of things and the arbing between different protocols, whether it be decentralized or centralized, is I think going to be super special.
I'll chime in.
And say again?
I
Yeah, go
think
ahead.
I think it's important to just note that the messaging network is simply a way to connect the order book in a decentralized way to the exchange on Arbitrum. So the order book will be on Arbitrum Nova, hosted by Arbitrum Nova. So it'll be decentralized. Anybody can see all of the orders that are placed on the order book, etc. And then we've got a messaging network that anybody can run that will connect those the order book to our order book on Arbitrum, or to our exchange on Arbitrum. So this means that users can come to the front end, and when they get a quote, they'll either be seeing the best quote from the pool, from one of the vaults, or from the order book. And so what DK is saying is, like, professional traders now who are used to programmatic trading with a bot, etc., who aren't, as keen to use liquidity pools, can, just place orders directly on this order book, and they'll be aggregated on our front end or other option trading front ends. And then, anybody who wants to use concentrated liquidity, anybody who's DeFi native, who wants to, collect maker fees in a pool that's automated for them, they can either use the pools if they're, running specific strategies, or they can use the vaults to mimic something like V2, the automated strategies that people from depositing in V2 are used to. So the idea, like DK is mentioning, is kind of to grow up from where we previously were of, offering more of a structured product that allowed people to trade against it, but didn't provide the whole market, to now working that in as just a single product on our exchange that does support the entire options market, professionals, retail, bot, anybody that wants to market make or trade against options will be able to do it on Premia V3 pretty seamlessly.
Thanks, Froggy. We did have two questions that popped into Discord. So the first one was, in V2, there's the C level, which adjusts the price of the option per demand. If they understood correctly, V3 will not use the C level mechanic anymore. How would the option price adjust in V3 per demand?
Right. So it's a nuanced question. The answer directly is that there will still be vaults that use the C level. So these will be the vaults that go live with the V3 platform. There'll be just one of the vaults that are eventually built on top of it. And those will behave very similar to our original C level vaults, although they've been improved. And then how does the price on the exchange actually update? That's twofold. So first there is the price of the actual pool with concentrated liquidity. So that'll update very similar to a Uniswap V3 pool or any other sort of concentrated liquidity platforms, where as users take liquidity, as they trade against the pool, if they're buying, the price will go up. If they're selling, the price will go down as the price traverses through price ranges that other liquidity providers have deposited. The additional nuance here is that on Premia V3, the quotes shown to users, or the aggregate order book, if you will, combines the pool quotes with the vault quotes with the order book on Arbitrum Nova. So it means that the three sources are in constant competition to provide the best price. So if the price goes up on the pool, it's not necessarily true that the price will go up on the exchange, because as the price goes up on the pool, it might mean that the vault now is providing the best price at the pool's previous price, etc.
Thanks, Frog. Next question, is the plan still to release V3 all at once or in parts? Or is the plan to release V3 all at once or still in parts?
Still in parts. So message network, base layer, and those 4 vaults, and the modularity to actually create any vault. If other engineers and developer groups want to start integrating, that will all be end of April. Now, the margin, that's what's currently going through economic audit right now, actually. So we should get that back in about 2 to 3 weeks. And then once we make sure that so we're getting a double check on all the economics there. Once we get that back, then we'll start implementing that code. So that's probably going to be 6 weeks. So we're probably going to be thinking of mid-June for that. And that's just going to be isolated margin. All right, so it's going to be position level. And then we've already started working on the economics of a portfolio margin model. However, that's going to have to go through an economic audit as well, right? So the portfolio margin, I would think we'll probably try to get it done before end of year, but it's going to be a Q3, Q4 thing. And then the other component is OmniChain. Now, I think we outlined this in one of our previous calls, but one of the biggest things that we wanted to get out of ETH Denver was to find a solution for contract state that we can sync between multiple chains, because that we think is going to be the best implementation of OmniChain, so we can reduce the amount of fragmented liquidity. There are some cool things that are happening. Some of them won't even be at testnet until end of summer, trying to be go live at beginning of 2024, the most promising examples. However, we're still figuring out if we go with some sort of interim solution until some of the promising ones come around. Do we run isolated V3s and just let fragmented liquidity live? Do we use something like a gelato or a Chainlink function, or Froggy has some other ones, and just maintain the bridging that's going to happen over a 3 to 5 day delay, or 3 to 5 minute delay, and just say okay, well, we don't know for sure if your order will be matched for 5 minutes, and then we implement a notification so that that, okay, so I've submitted an order, but my collateral's on Optimism. It might be 5 minutes till you get a confirmation back, and we can send you a notification that it did indeed match and match or not match. There's a few different options, but that's going to be probably closer towards end of summer. So I would say end of July for the OmniChain stuff. And that's the time frames we're looking at right now.
I would add, all of that sounds correct, but I would also add that we have quite a few vaults that are ideated, some of them that have been researched, some of them that have not, and some of them that are just waiting for development resources to be available to start developing them, others that are still further back in the research pipeline. So we expect over the next 6 months after release to be trickling out more vaults on top of the ones that we launch with. You could expect that we'll be adding Knox vaults back to the platform eventually, and some other highly demanded vaults. You can probably guess which ones. I don't want to give away too much. But also, we'll be working with community members that are building their own vaults to get them the help they need to develop that. And eventually, we want to put up something very similar to Yearn's Ape Tax, so that the community can test out community-developed strategies, at their own risk, understanding that these strategies are not created by Premia, and so they will contain their own risk and have to be, risk managed accordingly. But then, same as Yearn's done over the past few years, is if a strategy on Ape Tax becomes successful, it passes their performance and health requirements, then they can put it on their official front end and funnel, more capital into it. And so we want to experiment with that sort of pipeline for our vaults so that we can start getting more third-party developers and builders building on top of the Premia V3 ecosystem. Because just doing the research ourselves over the past few years, there's so many strategies that could be built on top of V3 as a vault, and we don't have time as an organization or as a group, as a team, as a community, internally to build all of them ourselves. And so we're hoping that the wider Premia community, the wider DeFi community, will kind of take this as an opportunity to build on top and put in their performance fee or management fee, et cetera, and kind of profit and bring volume and revenue to the Premia platform, so it can be a win-win for both. So this is another thing that currently isn't going to launch live with the V3, but will be part of the V3 platform eventually.
Cool. Next question is from Discord. They'd like to see more info about the spot price used at the time of buying an option or exercising, selling. Will kind of more robust data be integrated into the V3 UI, specifically to kind of show spot price data and information on the assets that they are holding positions in?
Yeah. So when you're on the trade page, the new UI has the spot price of the asset in two ways. The first is you can see the Oracle price of the asset, which is the actual price that the pool would use to settle that asset at the current moment in time. Of course, we're using European options for Premia V3, so options are only settled at the maturity date. But you can still use that price as a benchmark against something like CoinGecko or whatever you use for your source of pricing. And then additionally, the interface has a trading view chart that you can optionally hide or show, and you can view different time frames of the historical price, either in line chart view or candle chart view, OHLCV, so that traders who are used to seeing a full chart of high and lows, etc., will be able to trade with that, and otherwise users who just want to see the current spot price provided by the Oracle can do that.
Nice. We got 2 minutes left. Any questions in the room? Anyone raise their hand? I'm looking at this time. No. Any more questions from the Discord? Cozy? I don't know. I haven't looked.
Nope. I've been shelling them out as they came in.
All right, cool. That's all we got. Congratulate the new Parliament members tonight. That vote closes, I believe, at 11:59 Eastern. I think it's definitely tonight, and then we'll be folding them in ASAP. But other than that, have a good weekend,
Hear
everybody.
ye, hear ye. Yeah, have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.